What's up, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing good. Well, as you can see, once again, we're out of the train room, here with a returning special guest.
Hey.
What's going on?
Nothing. I finally got him over to my place.
Oh, man. Some of you may remember my sister Heather. We're over here at her apartment.
No layout still.
No layout. I know. What the hell? As I'm sure a lot of you are aware, at the moment, currently, York is going on. I was getting asked a lot if we were planning on going or planning on being there. And as you can see, obviously we are not. Damn friends and family. A close family friend happened to be having a wedding this weekend, and the missus and I flew up here to Michigan to spend some time and enjoy the wedding and see friends and family. Mm-hmm. I guess I kind of like you.
It's all right.
Once in a while.
Sometimes. For content.
Only for content.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely. But no, it's been a pretty good time. We're only here for a short little bit, but what can you do? It is kind of nice getting away from the layout for once. As you've seen, we've been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm busy.
We've been posting quite a bit of videos this last couple weeks. Mm-hmm. It's been going fast, but I tell you, it's even quicker in real life. Mm-hmm. All that work happened within 4 or 5 days.
Yes.
So taking a little break from it. We did get to go to a hobby shop today. Mm-hmm. What was it, the biggest in the Midwest?
World's largest in the Midwest.
I don't know.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Pretty cool. We did get a couple things, which we'll
nice.
check out here in a moment. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Did you get anything?
No. No layout still.
Oh, yeah, I know. We'll talk about that some other time. One thing I did want to take a quick moment on that I've been noticing over the past couple weeks, ever since we've been doing the new layout and expansion, we've gotten a lot of new subscribers.
Yes.
Which is awesome. Mm-hmm. I wanted to take a moment and give all of you a very big welcome, and thank you guys for joining. I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos. We've done a layout expansion before in the past, and if curious, if you go through previous videos, you'll see that layout grow and expand quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It's grown a lot.
A lot.
We've been pretty busy in the train room. I keep saying we like there's a grasshopper in my pocket or something, but hey, I'm bringing you guys along for the ride as well. I think it's pretty fun. Mm-hmm. But anyways, guys, what do you say we go ahead and get into it? Obviously, as I say, we're up here up north in Michigan, away from the train room, unfortunately. However, I did take some time last week and take some footage and shot a video before we came up north.
Exciting.
Some good stuff. A lot more layout progress. We got a layout up and operating, but I'm not going to give away the good stuff just yet. What do you say we check out some of our new pieces that we got? What do you got in your hands?
A DTI 60-foot boxcar.
Very nice.
Beautiful color.
I know you love that color.
I do.
It's a little pastel-y for me, but it looks pretty good. One thing I did think was that the roof was the same color, this cream color, as the door. However, it's not. It's black, so it looks better than I thought it was going to. But I know you love it.
I do love it.
We also got a covered hopper, Milwaukee Road. This one happens to be weathered or rusty from Lionel directly from the factory. Not the realest looking thing, but it's a pretty cool touch nonetheless. Mm-hmm. What do you think? I might take a picture of these. There might be some reflection off of the light. I'll have to check out the video once we're done. I'll post a picture if there is. But yeah, guys, what do you say? Let's check out what we got going out on the layout. Like I say, we've had a lot of stuff getting done. The layout is powered up. We got some transformers installed, some trains running.
Good stuff.
You looking forward to it?
Oh, yes.
I think it's some good stuff. Let's go ahead and get started. Pull up. Today, we're going to be continuing on with a quick little update on our layout project that we've been working on over the past week or so. We've gotten a lot accomplished, and I've been pretty busy in here the past several days, going on a week now. If you guys caught the last video, you saw that we got the layout expanded, as well as got the track rough placed and getting rough ideas of where everything's going to be and how it is going to be run. I have done a lot since then, since that video. As I stated, once it was all placed and clicked together in place, I had to rip it all back apart to go through the track and get everything set and ready for final placement. Roughly 90% of this track work was purchased used. I picked up the majority of it from a train show, as well as a few pieces or several pieces from my buddy Tony over at Roundhouse South Trains. While there, I did pick up all of the 10-inch straights on this layout have been purchased brand new, but there isn't a whole ton of them on here. There's 25 pieces if I remember correctly. But the remainder of it, like I say, was purchased used. A lot of this track, particularly the inner 054 loop, was placed on a layout previously that was ballasted and glued down. You can see we got a good one here. Shows remnants of the old glue and the old ballast. The first thing I did when going through this track for final placement is I exchanged some of the worse looking pieces for better looking pieces in other spots. A lot of these corners or curves are going to be hidden in the future, so I figure I might as well now, like I say, take the worse looking ones and place them where I know they're not going to be seen, and put the nicer looking ones in areas that will be visible. Once I had all of the track placed where I knew that I wanted it, it was time to start going through the track itself and prepping it and getting it ready for final placement. Again, as I've mentioned before, I've already gone over this track in great detail in a previous video. If interested, I'll post a link in the description below where you can go view it if you would like. However, to reiterate the two most important factors I come across when going through and connecting this track, the main factor is obviously these brass electrical fingers underneath, or contacts, for in between each track. You want to go through and make sure these are bent in the proper orientation so that when the track is clicked together, they're making good contact and you got a nice solid electrical connection. That's honestly the most important factor. The second being, especially with the newer track, because it's hollow, I don't know why, this doesn't seem to be quite as big of an issue with the older solid rail track, but with this newer hollow rail track, a lot of times when you click these together, you'll find the tracks don't line up exactly together. One will be off and going out, and the other one might be off going in. I like to go through and take a needle nose pliers and bend them back in place however need be. As you can see, these ones are pretty good. These are pretty much good to go. I've already done that to these pieces. However, we won't be using them, at least at the moment. Once I had established all of the electrical connections were good on the track, it was time to start getting it ready for final placement. I worked my way in sections around the entire layout. For instance, I started out right here at this straight section, and I assembled half of a corner, or half of this curve, put it all together, and then flipped it over, inspected all of the connections to make sure we were good to go, there wasn't any issue, flipped it back over and placed it in its spot. I did take a couple extra steps for some extra insurance. I got out one of my trusty old KW transformers and hooked it up to the track, and got one of the Santa Fe engines down off of the shelf and placed it on the track, and I would run the engine through that newly placed section of track, working my way again around the entire layout to make sure we didn't have a bad connection or a bad spot anywhere. And this worked out well. Everything worked great. Once all that was done and the track was placed, I hooked it up to our final power, but this KW proved very useful in testing the track for that purpose. While working my way through the layout through the various sections, I did go ahead and pre-install some small feeder wire sets on various pieces of track here and there through the different sections. As you notice, we're not using any of the MTH lock-ons. I've got all of the feeder wires soldered directly to the track. I just went ahead and used the factory clips, tongs, whatever you want to call these pieces, wrapped some wire around them and soldered it directly to this copper or brass, drilled a hole under the track, and then fed the feeder wires through the hole down to the transformer, which you'll see here in a minute. Pretty easy and pretty straightforward. I will say the one downside, this Realtrax does not really necessarily like being soldered on. Obviously being plastic, whenever you go to solder, these little plastic nubs, I don't know if you can see them, that hold this tang in place, they like to melt, and then it kind of falls off of its post. No big deal. Obviously, it's going to be under the track itself, and you'll never see it, but something to keep in mind. You don't want to overheat this stuff because it is pretty thin. Once I had all of the track sections placed on the layout and all of the track work assembled and clipped together, it was now time to secure it to the table, which you guys have seen quite a bit of in the past. Don't quote me, I don't remember exactly, but I want to say these are either number 2 or number 7 screws, and I just use that and screw the track right to the benchwork. It works out pretty well. This is nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. I have not screwed the front of this loop, as this is going to be elevated in the future. This will probably be glued or something like that to the grade that we will be installing. But it's working out pretty well so far. I was extremely pleased, as I've said in the past. This track is excellent at conducting the electricity. I was running both of these loops off of one set of power feeds or power wires to that KW transformer. And even more surprisingly, I've got a set of power wires or feeders soldered to the switches right here in between them to make sure both sides was getting powered. Like I say, I was running this entire layout through that one set of feeders that's right here. And I'm sure if you guys might know, I've realized in the past, switches usually don't let the power flow through it that well, but it was powering this whole layout with no power drops or power loss anywhere. That's why I'm always surprised when I hear people having electrical issues with this track, because this stuff is great. Granted, no, this isn't a huge layout just like the other one, but I mean, this outer loop is at least 50-55 feet of track in one run, and to not have any power drops anywhere was very surprising. Now, of course, we're not going to run it off of just one set. Like I say, I've got several sets of feeders placed on this track. That's just in case, if one of them comes loose or we do have any power drops in the future. This layout is going to remain pretty much strictly a command control layout, being powered by powered bricks. We're not going to have ZWs or KW transformers powering this layout. Like I say, it's just going to be bricks. Seeing as how these two main lines are connected together via this switch back here, I didn't want to create a headache or make myself a headache and try and isolate these two loops away from each other. I didn't want to risk losing the signal to the engine or anything like that. So I've got these two loops tied together on one port of the TIU. So this is set up as just one loop. Excuse the mess. Obviously, I still have a lot of cleanup work to do down here. But here is the power supply that is going to be powering the layout. For powering the two main lines, we're using this good old trusty Lionel 135 watt brick. This thing is a tank. This thing will literally power a little city if you want it to. I've powered up to 4 loops or main lines before with no issue. I've even done 5. However, 5 is definitely on the limits. After several minutes of runtime, the breaker does go off, so 4 seems to be the max. But powering 2 lines should not be an issue. A couple few engines at a time, this thing won't even break a sweat. But obviously this is feeding the TIU that then goes out to a distribution block, and then we've got all of our feeder wires hooked into that. Again, like I say, excuse the mess, we still got to clean it up. But it is working pretty good and flawlessly for at the moment. As I was saying earlier, we've got another line that'll be getting installed, an elevated line. We'll utilize one of these MTH bricks for that. And we'll have one left over. I might use this for main power or auxiliary power for this TIU or possibly the other TIU in the future. We'll see what happens. I do have a good old 1033 transformer down here, as you can see. I was utilizing this before for powering this 022 switches that were previously on the layout. I might reutilize this to power the current Realtrac switches that are on it. I'm not sure yet, or it might just get used to power some of the accessories that'll be placed on this layout. I'm not sure if I want or need to have those switches, the Realtrac switches, powered off of accessory power. They're working pretty well at the moment off of the track power. We'll just have to fine-tune it and see how it works out coming up in the future. If you remember from the previous video or two, or if you go back and view them, you'll notice we did change one spot of track work here on the layout. Previously, we had this inner loop set up with this pretty sharp 054 S-curve right here. And it did work. It worked pretty flawlessly. Everything that I ran on the track went through it with no issue. However, after running a few trains on the inner loop, this was kind of a sore spot. I did not like the way that it looked or it performed. Like I say, this is a pretty sharp S-curve, and those long 18-inch MTH passenger cars that were running through it, they just looked awful. So we went ahead and changed it up a little bit. As I stated, I had pretty much used up all of my track. I went digging real deep through my surplus of supplies and whatnot, went through a lot of boxes, and miraculously it paid off. I came out and found 2 leftover 071 curves from the first time we did the first big expansion on the other layout, as well as 2 054 half curves. And like I say, this worked out perfectly. It solved and fixed the problem that we had. As you'll notice on this center or inner loop, starting back there, this is all one 054 curve or half of a circle. It then goes in to a half 054, a full 071. Got 2 10-inch straights placed right here. back into a reverse or backwards 071 and the other half 054, which then leads off into the straight section. And like I say, this worked out perfect. We are a little bit on the extreme for this track work. You'll notice, where is it? Right here. Like I say, it is pretty tight. You can see we got a little bit of a crack right here. This will get hidden. It's still working flawlessly and perfect. And when we do some ballast work, this will get hidden. You'll never see it. The track itself is nice and level. There's just the tiniest crack. And believe me, that's not going to affect anything. Everything's running just fine on it. It's not quite parallel with the other track as you look at it. However, as I stated, this inner track is going to be elevated in the future, so I don't think it's even going to be noticeable. I think it worked out pretty good. To give you guys a visual of what I'm talking about, here you can see what the trains looked like running through that sharp S-curve. It's pretty ugly, isn't it? Getting that track swapped out with this straight section and these other pieces we were able to find, I think it paid off in dividends. Much better. As I was saying, a lot of these curves are going to be hidden in the future under the elevated line, elevated sections of the layout itself, and mountains and whatnot. However, the front of these two loops being the very front and center of the layout, you're going to see these. So I definitely wanted to get that fixed. And like I say, this looks a hell of a lot better. I did notice quite a few comments and questions in the last couple videos about the post-war engines and this MTH Realtrax, and you guys are 100% correct. The Magnetraction on the old post-war engines will not work with this Realtrax being a nickel rail. Obviously the Magnetraction just does not stick to it at all. However, this has not posed an issue for me really at all in the past. The only engines this does seem to affect are these little Alcos. Being a smaller engine, lighter engine, and only having a single motor, these engines don't really like the Realtrax, but these are really the only ones out of the collection that don't like this track. All the other engines, the heavier F3s, the steamers, the EP5s and whatnot, they have no problem running on this track, just those Alcos. We do still have the run of tubular track on the elevated section of the layout behind us, so whenever I do get the need to run these engines, these Alcos, I throw them on that track and run them. These will still handle the Realtrax, however you can only pull small, light trains, usually about 4 or 5 cars. The plastic MPC cars behind those engines work just fine on this Realtrax. However, if you start using autoloaders and stuff like that, then yeah, they just sit there and spin. The other engines, as long as the track is clean, not dirty or has any oil on it, they don't have much trouble getting a train going on this track. Now, of course, I can't say that's going to be the same once we get the grades installed. I'm sure we'll have a lot of issues then. But I'm not planning on running a whole lot of the post-war engines over on this layout. I did save one thing for us to check out and install together. As you guys might remember, a little while back, we picked up this Woodland Scenics incline set, 2 boxes of them, and we're going to be installing them on this center line. Unfortunately, I cannot permanently install these at the moment, as obviously we still have a ton of work to do. However, I thought we'd get them installed for now and check them out and see how they look. It's a pretty cool little product. As you can see, they pie cut them in a zigzag fashion opposite of each other. This is so you can bend and conform them to curves where and if needed. And we're obviously going to need that. This is going to work out perfect. I have noticed one downside with these. I think Woodland Scenics makes these for all different sizes of scale. Not all of them, but for various sizes and different sized trains. One size fits all kind of thing. I think this would work perfect with the Atlas O-Track. However, unfortunately with this Realtrax and this molded in roadbed, you'll see it's a little bit too wide. The track is a little bit too wide for it. The edges kind of hang off of it. I think we're going to have to fashion or mount a ledge on this stuff. That way when we go install our track permanently, we'll have something or somewhere for our ballast work to be placed. But again, that's a bridge we'll cross when we get to it. I'm literally looking forward to getting this installed. What do you say we check it out? Check that out, guys. That's pretty cool. I like it. What do you guys think? I think that's going to look pretty good. Obviously, it'll look a whole lot better once we get it finished with ground cover and everything, but that looks awesome. This side might extend or move back 10 inches or so. I might install a girder bridge, a low girder bridge or something over here. It seems to be a good height for the cars to pass under. I don't know, we'll play around with it, we'll see. But I'm liking the way it's coming out. I do got to be careful, I can't go too crazy, because over here the tracks are going to be leading into a tunnel, and this will be a raised section of layout, so I can't have too much height on each end. Because like I say, over here will be an elevated section of layout, as well as where it starts on the other side of the layout, so we can't go too crazy on the height. These boxes do come with 8 pieces each. I believe it goes all the way up to 4 inches in height if you'd like it to. We didn't use all the pieces, obviously. I used 5 from each side, 5 going up and 5 coming down. But yeah, it worked out pretty well. Like I say, maybe we'll play with a bridge, or if not, maybe I'll take the 6 piece from each box and cut it in half. Like I say, we'll play around with it. Check out that rat's nest of wiring that came out from under the layout. Of course, all of it's going to be getting reused, but I think that's quite the pile of wire. What do you guys say we go ahead and take the layout out on its first maiden voyage here on the channel? I've been doing some testing the last day or so, and everything's been running good. Let's go ahead and try it out with this new elevated section of track. Fingers crossed everything works good. bonus for our post-war people here on the channel. Some of you may remember our beautiful 2354 New York Central F3. This one's been upgraded with an ERR kit. What do you guys think? Will this one handle the hill? I had a strong feeling that it would not with those big, heavy MTH Premier cars. So to give it a fighting chance, I went ahead and installed some post-war and post-war inspired cars behind it. What do you say we give it a try? We got any takers? Anyone want to take some bets? Let's move her out. Oh, here we go. Is she coming? Oh, check that out. Like a champ. Let me slow it down a little. Let's see what else she's got. Can we crawl up the hill? Look at that. What a champion, huh? Pretty cool. Well, what'd you guys think? Pretty cool, huh?
I loved it.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that post-war engine was going to get up that hill?
I never doubted it.
I only doubted it with the big passenger cars, but I was pretty certain it would do it. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Until next time, guys, my name is Zach.
I'm Heather.
And this is Country Bunkers Trains. A big salute to Heather, as well as all of you guys. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-around.